the evening light was fading over South London as summer drew to a close in August 2012. In the close-knit community of New Addington, no one could have anticipated the events that would unfold within one family home, forever changing the lives of those connected to 12-year-old Tia Christine Sharp. Let us begin by understanding the young girl at the center of this story, her family connections, and the circumstances that would lead to her disappearance. Tia Christine Sharp entered the world on June 30th, 2000, born to parents Stephen and Natalie. Though her parents separated when she was still an infant, Tia grew up surrounded by family in Croydon, South London. The separation did not diminish the close bonds within her maternal family. Tia, her mother Natalie, and her maternal grandmother Christine formed what many described as a tight family unit. Natalie would later reflect that the three of them were not just family, but friends as well. The connection between Tia and her grandmother Christine was particularly special. At times, Tia would even call her grandmother Mom, a term of endearment that Christine accepted without question. "I wouldn't bat an eyelid," Christine once said about these occasions. The love between Tia and her mother Natalie was equally profound. Christine observed how Tia adored her mother, and the two were often described as inseparable. During her early years, Tia maintained regular contact with her father Stephen, seeing him during holidays. However, this relationship began to deteriorate as she entered secondary school, coinciding with increased tension between her parents. Those who knew Tia described her as confident and happy, a young girl who was never afraid to express herself. She was, in her mother's words, often the loudest in the room, displaying a feisty and brave personality that made her stand out. In 2002, Christine was working as a barmaid at a pub in Rains Park, southwest London. It was here that she met Stuart Hazel, a man 10 years her junior. Their relationship began in 2007, and Stuart eventually moved into Christine's home in New Addington. This living arrangement would later become significant in Tia's story. It's worth noting that Natalie had briefly been involved with Hazel before he began his relationship with her mother. Despite this potentially awkward situation, Tia developed a close bond with Stuart. She called him Granddad, as did her two younger brothers, integrating him into their family circle. Although Tia was academically capable and popular with her teachers, her school attendance became a concern. In 2008, social services became involved with the family due to concerns about Natalie and her partner using cannabis. A report issued by social services noted that while there was no evidence of neglect or abuse toward Tia, the family dynamic was described as dysfunctional. After conducting an investigation into what they termed Tia's chaotic home life, social workers concluded in November 2011 that no further assessment would be needed. Instead, they recommended that Tia's school should monitor her and report any concerns that might arise. Tia frequently spent nights at Christine and Stuart's home. Even when Christine worked night shifts, Tia would stay there with her step-grandfather. The trust placed in Stuart was evident in June 2012 when Tia celebrated her birthday with her mother and grandmother. Given the option to bring a friend for the celebrations, she chose Stuart, illustrating the close relationship they had developed. The summer of 2012 was drawing to a close when Tia, without her mother's knowledge, messaged her grandmother and Stuart, asking if she could stay with them for a couple of days. Stuart sent a text message to Natalie, informing her that Tia was welcome to stay. He mentioned that Christine would not be there but Tia could still stay if she wished. Tia was excited about the visit. She kissed her mother goodbye before setting off to her grandmother's house. On Thursday, August 2nd, Stewart met Tia as she disembarked from a tram at 4:50 p.m. CCTV cameras captured them shopping together in New Addington. Later that evening, Christine called home and spoke with Stewart, who assured her that everything was fine and that he and Tia were playing on the PlayStation together. The following day, Friday, August 3rd, Christine returned home from work. Stewart informed her that Tia had gone into Croydon, about 5 miles away, to buy new shoes at the Whitgift Center. By 6 o'clock that evening, Tia had not returned home. Christine called Natalie, who confirmed she hadn't seen her daughter either. They attempted to contact Tia via text message and Facebook, but received no response. Christine and Stewart decided to drive around the area searching for Tia, hoping that perhaps she was delayed due to public transportation issues. By 10 p.m., with still no sign of the young girl, Christine, Stewart, and Natalie went to the police station to report her missing. Stewart told investigators that he had last seen Tia around midday before she headed into Croydon to go shopping. A neighbor also reported seeing her leaving the property. The police searched the house where Tia had been staying, but found no trace of her. As it became clear she wasn't in the house, the investigation expanded to the surrounding area. The story of the missing 12-year-old quickly gained attention, with major news outlets reporting on her disappearance. Stuart Hazel was seen participating in one of the search efforts for Tia. The police noted that Tia had only taken a small amount of money with her and had left behind her travel card and mobile phone, which they described as very out of character. Commander Neil Basu emphasized that the investigation was still being treated as a missing persons inquiry and did not suggest there were any suspects in the case. The family want Tia home. They miss her dreadfully, and I wanted to assure you of all the work the Met is doing, Commander Basu stated. We are doing everything we can, everything we possibly can, to find her and trying to support the family at this time. The scale of the search operation was substantial. Olympic resources were redirected to help find Tia, with more than 100 extra uniform officers deployed to the Croydon and Mitcham areas. Over 80 officers were assigned to the case, including 40 detectives and 40 specialist search officers. They collected more than 800 hours of CCTV footage from buses and trams, viewing more than 120 hours in real time as the search continued around the clock. Commander Basu also acknowledged the community's support. I would also like to thank everybody in the Croydon and Mitcham communities that has helped with the investigation. I spent time with counselors and with members of the Pathfinders charity on the New Addington estate yesterday evening. I was completely moved by their generosity, their energy, and commitment. The family's distress was palpable. Natalie told a local news outlet, "We all feel terrible. We think she's been taken, but we just don't know. There's no CCTV. We know absolutely nothing. I wish to God I could tell you something. My baby girl walked out and she vanished." On August 7th, a press conference was held where DCI Nick Scola provided the media and public with a description of Tia. He referenced a CCTV image taken on the evening of Thursday, August 2nd, before she went missing. In it, she's wearing the outer clothing that we believe she was wearing when she went missing. He explained, noting some differences from the initial description. It's not a yellow tube-type top. You can see it's a yellow vest top. On the front of it, there's a pattern, an animal, of some description, possibly a dog or a cat. The tight-fitted jeans are the same, and she's wearing Ugg boots in this photo, but she was wearing black Nike trainers with the pink Nike swoosh on. Tia's uncle David Sharp made an emotional appeal during the press conference. Tia is a 12-year-old normal girl. She has never run away. She's got no reason to run away. She is a playful child. She's not an adult in any way. But she is very clued up in traveling and local areas and people she knows. Come to us. Come home, phone the police, anything. He thanked the police for their efforts and the public for their support, urging them not to stop searching. The public responded with 55 different reported sightings of Tia, though none could be substantiated by police. As Stuart Hazel was the last person to see Tia alive, he began to feel that he might be considered a suspect. On August 9th, he contacted ITV to give an interview, hoping to clear his name. He spoke with Mark Williams Thomas, an investigative journalist and former police officer. During the interview, Hazel denied any involvement in Tia's disappearance. If they believe what they read in the papers, they can do whatever they like. Because I know deep down in my heart that Tia walked out of my house. She walked out there. I know damn well, because she was seen walking down the pathway. I know she made that track down that way. What happened after that, I don't know. He expressed frustration about the media coverage, adding, "We got all the papers outside, all putting accusations down and bad-mouthing everyone, and it's just what you don't need. I mean, they're trying to help, but they can help in other ways by finding the girl." During the interview, Christine returned home, and Hazel paused the interview to comfort her. With still no sign of Tia, the police conducted another search of the house, this time with assistance from police dogs, but again found no trace of the missing girl. A week after Tia had been reported missing on Friday, August 10th, and a day after his interview with ITV, Stuart Hazel woke early and left the house. When Christine woke later, she noticed an unusual smell in the house, but couldn't identify its source. When police arrived, they asked her to leave immediately so they could conduct another search. That afternoon, during a fourth and final search of the New Addington house, investigators made a devastating discovery in the attic. They found a body that, due to the heat and the fact it had been wrapped up and stored in the attic, had decomposed to the point where visual identification was impossible. Croydon Central MP Gavin Barwell commented, "The police have yet to formally confirm that the body is Tia's, yet this devastating development will come as a huge blow to her family and the community in New Addington, all of whom have worked tirelessly to try and find her over the past week." A post-mortem examination began the same day, but was paused later. By August 16th, the examination was still incomplete. However, at an inquest into the death opened that day, it was confirmed that the body was indeed that of Tia Sharp. Due to the state of decomposition, dental records had been used for identification. The post-mortem was later concluded without establishing a definitive cause of death. Experts noted that the delay in finding the body had made it much more difficult to determine exactly how Tia had died. Without a cause of death, the prosecution would face challenges in building their case. Nevertheless, detectives suspected, and it was widely reported, that Tia Sharp had potentially been smothered, although this was not officially confirmed as the cause of death. Area Commander Neil Basu stated that the priority now was to support Tia's devastated family as investigators worked to determine exactly what had happened. With the discovery of Tia's body, attention quickly focused on one person, Christine's partner, Stuart Hazel. Investigators soon realized that Hazel had fled. CCTV captured him, buying a bottle of vodka from a shop on Cannon Hill Lane in South London. Police warned the public not to approach him if they saw him and instead to call 999. Following a tip from a member of the public who had spotted him, Hazel was arrested at 8:25 p.m. on Cannon Hill Common in Morden. As he was taken away in a police van, bystanders directed verbal abuse at him. Police also announced 2 additional arrests. Later that evening, at 11:55 p.m., Christine was arrested on suspicion of murder, and a neighbor was arrested on suspicion of assisting an offender. While Christine was being questioned, Natalie had to watch on television as her daughter's body was removed from the home. Due to the state of decomposition, Natalie was not permitted to see her daughter's body. Following the discovery, several people placed tributes for Tia near a garage close to her grandmother's house, which remained cordoned off. Christine was later released on bail, but was prohibited from contacting Natalie or her other grandchildren. As the investigation progressed, police began to uncover disturbing truths about Stuart Hazel. He came from a troubled background and had a dysfunctional relationship with his parents. During his childhood, he had been monitored by social services as his father was in prison, and his mother worked as a sex worker. Hazel eventually ended up in foster care. He struggled academically and frequently missed school. Dr. Carrie Nixon, a psychological expert, noted that Hazel had a low IQ. Hazel later claimed that he had been sexually assaulted when he was 16 years old. His criminal record included 30 previous convictions, resulting in 3 prison sentences. These convictions ranged from drug-dealing burglary and criminal damage to theft, racially motivated violence, and grievous bodily harm. His ongoing drug use contributed to his reckless behavior. In 2010, he was convicted of carrying a machete and received a 12-month custodial sentence. Despite his history, Christine remained supportive of Hazel, stating that she never witnessed violent behavior in their home. She described him as a gentle giant and was willing to put his past behind them. However, she was unaware of the extent of his drug abuse and his increasingly disturbing thoughts. Investigators discovered that as Tia matured, Hazel had developed sexual fantasies about her. He became fixated on her and convinced himself that she had feelings for him. In the final year of her life, his behavior grew more voyeuristic, and he began secretly filming her. On one occasion, he recorded her applying cream to her dry legs after returning from school. His filming of Tia became increasingly inappropriate, including recording her while she slept. Nick Scola, the senior investigating officer, described one such incident. Hazel had filmed Tia while she was asleep, approaching very close to her, but retreating when she stirred. He then briefly directed the camera to the wall to capture his shadow looking over her. Hazel had removed the door to the bathroom and tampered with the light fitting in Tia's bedroom, which police believed was to create a way to observe her without detection. He also began searching for increasingly extreme and violent pornographic content on his phone, including material exploiting children. Dr. Carrie Nixon suggested that Hazel may have made sexual advances toward Tia and murdered her when she rejected him and threatened to tell her mother. Many questioned why it had taken 4 searches to find Tia's body in the attic. Investigators apologized to the family, attributing the oversight to human error. Commander Neil Basu apologized to Tia's mother for the delay, stating that a review would be conducted to ensure such a failing would not be repeated. On August 23rd, Police Commissioner Bernard Hogan Howe addressed the failure. If we thought it was an individual human error, then that would explain it. But we're carrying out a review because we're not happy that explains it. We're trying not to have a knee-jerk reaction. We need some time to understand what happened and what failed to happen. We want to learn lessons from this particular case. We have apologized, and I repeat that apology to Tia's mom and family for not having found Tia's body sooner. As Christine was released on bail, investigators focused on Stuart Hazel. When questioned about Tia's murder, Hazel initially requested legal representation. He provided a defense statement claiming that he and Tia had been playing when she fell down the stairs, but appeared unharmed. He alleged that after drinking heavily that evening, he passed out and upon waking, found her dead on the floor. In response, he placed her body in the attic, positioning her between the rafters and against the roof in a dark area covering her with debris. Next to the body, carefully wrapped in small plastic bags inside a black bin bag, were Tia's clothes and her broken glasses. Christine was subsequently cleared of any involvement in her granddaughter's death. On December 7th, the Metropolitan Police announced she would not face charges. During their investigation, officers had found 2 memory cards, one of which was well hidden in a downstairs door frame. These cards contained both deleted and undeleted photos and videos. The last image on one card had been deleted but was recovered by forensic experts. It showed Tia posed in a sexually suggestive position. Pathologists determined she was likely deceased when the photograph was taken. Other images showed Hazel posing naked in a similar position. The memory card also contained voyeuristic images of Tia taken while she was alive. In the early hours of August 12th, Hazel was charged with the murder of Tia. He appeared before Camberwell Green Magistrates Court on August 13th via video link wearing a blue t-shirt. He spoke only to confirm his name, date of birth, and address. No plea was entered, and the case was committed to the Old Bailey Courthouse in London. Hazel was remanded in custody to Belmarsh Prison, where he was held in isolation for his safety. While awaiting trial, Hazel wrote to his father, maintaining that Tia's death was accidental and denying any sexual motive. His primary concern appeared to be that his father wouldn't think he was a nonce, a slang term for a pedophile. Tia was cremated on September 14th after a private family funeral. On February 5th, 2013, the neighbor who had been arrested was charged with wasting police time after falsely telling police he had seen Tia alive on the day she was murdered. He appeared at Croydon Magistrates Court on February the 28th, 2013, denied the charge, and was released on bail for a one-day trial scheduled for July 29th. On August 5th, 2013, he was found guilty and sentenced to 5 months in prison. The trial of Stuart Hazel began with his plea of not guilty. Throughout the proceedings, he showed no emotion and refused to acknowledge any of Tia's family members. The courtroom was deeply affected when shown the images taken of Tia. When the post-mortem photograph was presented to the jury, Tia's mother, Natalie, left the courtroom in distress. After 4 days of distressing evidence, Stuart Hazel changed his plea to guilty. Tia's father stated that hearing what Hazel had done to his daughter had shattered his heart. The police described Hazel as a violent and dangerous man who poses a significant risk to young girls. However, Hazel refused to reveal exactly what had happened that night or why he had taken Tia's life. When sentencing Hazel, the judge emphasized how the trust Christine and Natalie had placed in him had been broken. He received a life sentence with a minimum term of 38 years, meaning he would be at least 75 years old before being eligible for parole. Judge Mr. Justice Nicole explained that he could not impose a whole life tariff as he was not certain that Hazel's motivation was sexual or that the murder was premeditated. Tia's mother trusted you to look after Tia, the judge told Hazel. You breached that trust in the most grievous way possible. Your guilty plea came on day 5. You said you wished to avoid causing further stress to Tia's family, but they have had to endure 4 days of a very public trial. The announcement of the sentence prompted gasps from the public gallery. Tia's family sobbed audibly, and as Hazel was led away, someone in the gallery shouted, "Beast!" The judge later explained his sentencing decision, noting that to impose a whole life tariff, he would have needed to be absolutely certain that the murder itself was sexually motivated. While he had no doubt that Hazel had sexually assaulted Tia, he could not be sure that the murder itself was sexually motivated. In his sentencing remarks, the judge told Hazel, "Tia was a sparky girl who was full of life, but you took that life from her. All that lay ahead of her, a career, loves, and family of her own, will now never be." After the sentencing, Tia's mother, Natalie, was asked if she was satisfied with the sentence. She simply replied, "No," and an uncle added that the sentence should have been longer. The impact of Tia's death resonated deeply throughout the community and beyond. The house where Christine and Stuart had lived and where Tia had been murdered was demolished in 2013. In July 2013, Tia's father, Stephen Carter, expressed support for a plan to have websites block certain search terms and warn people when they attempt to view illegal content. In November 2013, partly in response to the murders of Tia Sharp and another young victim, April Jones, the search engines, Google and Bing, modified their systems to block results from searches aimed at producing child abuse images. Tia Sharp was a confident, happy, and spirited young girl whose trust was betrayed in a profound way. Those who knew and loved her are determined that she will be remembered for the joy she brought to many people rather than by the tragic circumstances of her death. The summer evening fades to night, and with it we conclude the story of Tia Sharp. May she rest in peace, and may those who loved her find comfort in their memories of the bright, vivacious child who once filled their lives with happiness.